Hey moving athletes, welcome to part 2 of our video. If you haven't already seen part 1, please check that video over here to the right. Our 7th progression is the kipping chest-to-bar pull-up, push-away, 3 kip swings. So we're going a little bit higher now and then merging it back to the kip swings. Let's take a look. Okay, so we'll start off with the kip swing, utilize it, try to get the chest to the bar, and then return back to the tab. The 8th progression will be the kipping chest to bar as well as the belly button to bar pull-up. So we'll be connecting them back to back here without the intermediate repetitive kip swing. So just cycling through them. So let's take a look at how this plays out. So initiate the swing and then try to pull the chest, and then let's try to get even closer to the belly button. That was a good one. So just actively working higher pull is key here. That's what we're doing on this progression. We're putting together the kip swing for momentum, merging it with the pull phase, and you're trying to get further and further down the body here, which will make your muscle up much more doable. And just takes coordination and the right timing to get this one done, and that's what our 8th progression looks like. Progression number 9 will be the bar muscle-up negatives. This will be considered skill work because we're doing the pathway of the muscle-up just completely in reverse to understand the whole range of motion with less strength needed. So we'll start off with an elevated surface. We'll jump to the top, and we'll first start off in the straight arm position when we get up there. Okay, so we're at the top. Perform the eccentric portion of the dip, slowly lower, and then get back to the box and repeat it. So we're taking out the whole bottom portion, the whole concentric piece of this exercise. So ideally, the slower you go, the better this will be. And we're focusing the whole eccentric phase of the kipping muscle up here. And you also start to understand what to do with the hands because they'll be in the support phase, and then your hands will naturally shift under the bar into the hang phase. So that's our 9th progression for you here. Okay, on to our 10th progression, which is the jumping muscle up. So this will be in the strength portion, and we'll have an elevated surface again. We'll try to simulate a little bit of the kip swing by coming from below the bar, a little bit of a slight arch in the body, and then jump through the whole pathway of the muscle up itself. And then we can keep repeating for repetitions. So starting from the box, come down below the bar, we're simulating a little bit of that arch, and we're jumping through the whole muscle up itself. So what we can do is level this up by trying to jump less. So at first, if we really jump with our legs and get that explosive power, we're not doing as much pulling and pushing with the upper body. As you start to understand the pathway, what's happening with the wrist to shift on top, this is probably the trickiest part. Once you get familiar with that, then you start jumping less, maybe the box is a little bit lower, and then you're really simulating even more of what the pulling and pushing will feel like with a little bit less momentum. But this is the jumping bar muscle up with the elevated surface. The 11th progression will be mini dips. So we'll be doing various types of dips on the single rail. You could do this progression on a lower rail if you have that, and if not, as long as you can jump to the top of the bar, we can get to the top and focus on the dips. So we're just focusing on the push phase. We'll start at the top. We'll try various levels of range of motion. We'll do mini dips first, okay? And then we can start to get a little bit lower where we're trying to get the chest as close to the bar as possible. Now notice some of the body has to come in front of the rail for this counterbalance. Okay, so the shoulders are moving backwards a little bit, so some of the weight has to come a little bit further in the front. It's common to start doing almost an L-sit, where the legs start to come up, there's a bigger hip bend, and ideally you want to try to do this with more of a straighter body position. Probably have to lean back a little bit because of this counterbalancing, but here we're focusing on the strength of a full range dip, because that's how you're going to catch the top of the muscle up, finish the push out, and then repeat on the way down for the descend. So these are the mini dips at the top of the rail. Our last and 12th progression is the kipping muscle up on bar. We're stringing everything together. We've got the kip swing, the elevation, the pull, the transition, the dip, and the descend. So we'll take a look at one repetition here, and we'll focus on all parts of it, especially a slow descending portion of it. Slow down, and there's our 1 rep. So notice that on the way down, Blake tried to do a dip that went low to the chest before transitioning back to the hang phase. Now this progression takes us to one rep on its own. To take this further, you can do the kipping muscle up back to the kipping swings, and then eventually merging them together, because that's how you string it together. You need to learn how to come down from the dip in a slight hollow, bounce through that arch position, and then you're ready to go for the next repetition. There are a lot of pitfalls to look out for, which we'll get into in another video, but this is the last progression of how you string it all together and get to the top of the bar doing that kipping muscle up. That concludes our video on the kipping muscle up on bar, where we outline the 12 progressions on how to get from the normal hat swing into the skill itself. And it doesn't stop there. We've got the strict muscle up on bar, and you also have a different apparatus by doing it on the rings, where you have a kipping and a strict muscle up there too. So there's always more to learn. We're going to have these videos on our YouTube page pretty soon, so you can check those out as well. And again, thanks for watching. If you want to check out a video on the common errors that people make on this skill so you can avoid it, check that video below. Really quick, if you want to get started with calisthenics but are unsure of how to do so, I highly recommend trying our free calisthenics assessment. It will only take you 5 minutes to complete. You'll receive a detailed, personalized training program complete with recommendations and workouts you can use right away. If you found these videos helpful, please click the like button below and leave any comments or questions you might have in the comment section below. See you next time.